All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the AM show, the November 15th edition. It is Monday morning, and we are halfway through November, and things are looking up in the NFT world. We had a pretty eventful weekend. Normally, weekends are pretty slow in this world, and things chill out, but Friday started off with a bang. So we have lots to talk about. The great news is it will not be shitcoin related, so we have enough content to film more than an entire episode this morning. We got a lot of people in the audience this morning. It's great to see some new faces, a bunch of new Moon Lounge members. So welcome. I think you're going to enjoy your stay, and of course, if you guys ever need anything, feel free to reach out. For those of you who haven't been in the show before, we do actually record this for YouTube and Spotify, and I believe it should be up on Apple Music now. So if you ever have to leave early, if you ever jump in late, or if you're can't make a show live, it will always be there in its entirety for you to listen to. So and we've been actually getting some listens too. It's kind of hard to figure out where that's coming from, but never hurts to see some of those numbers be pretty decent. So pretty pumped about that. I am
Absolutely.
joined with me as always. I didn't even do your introduction. It was so exciting, but yeah, the man who is going to be minting 380 Clone X's this week, Mr. Free Market Capitalist.
Hey now, looking forward to that artifact drop, especially into this volume spike in the
Yes.
NFT market.
Yeah, so let's jump right into it. I'd like to lead off the show as always with a brief market update on the in the crypto world. Um, Not much to actually talk about there. Normally, I've been saying that for NFTs the last little bit, but everything seems to be trading sideways. Ethereum, I actually got a notification on my phone, was up almost 5% this morning. So a nice little run there. It seems to be chilling out. But yeah, 66,000 for Bitcoin. Ethereum's at 4,800. Everything seems to just kind of be in that comfortable 2 to 5% up range. No big winners, no big losers right now. And then the shit coins, as always, the GM, WGMI, PN, et cetera. Haven't even looked at them, even though I'm sure I am holding some bags. So I'm happy to be moving on from them and moving into the JPEGs. Looking at WGMI real quick, yeah, the 7 day and the 1 day change, a lot of deep green numbers. Love to see that, and as free market alluded to, definitely on the back of some huge increase in volume. Blute's up 100% this week. Nobody cares. Mecca actually having a pretty good run, climbed back up above that 1 ETH floor, and now sitting at 1.87. That was a pretty slow and steady increase over the week, probably on some of that Coinbase partnership news that they and Oniforce got those volumes went crazy, and that might have actually been a little bit of a start to the bull run that we're seeing here. 1 day changes are great too. Couple things that I wanted to just go over. You'll see some big winners in Mutant Ape Yacht Club, Bored Ape Kennel Club, and of course just the standard Bored Ape Yacht Club. Some gigantic news coming out of there when Jimmy Fallon bought his first Bored Ape on the weekend. He tweeted out permission to come aboard and promptly changed his NFT profile picture to the Bored Ape. I didn't realize looking at this, and I don't know if you're in the same boat, free market, but Jimmy Fallon has 51 million followers on Twitter. I always just thought, that was he was in the realm of just getting clips shared on Facebook. Like, obviously, he's a huge figure. He's the host of the Tonight Show, no small name in the entertainment space, but just 51 million followers on Twitter, and kind of a normie king.
Yeah, the Tonight Show is such a large property. He took over for Jay Leno, and one of the larger purchases before this was Steph Curry in Bored Apes, which is a huge purchase. He has a lot of fans, but he's essentially preaching to the choir. That's the hype crowd.
Yeah.
And while they may not be into NFTs, yet that hype beast crowd is coming this way, especially for Bored Apes. Jimmy, on the other hand, appeals to people like my mom and, people who are quote unquote normies. And the idea that he bought two apes, tweeted this out, and then was following the market. 2 days later, he tweets out, wow, loving what's happening in mutants. watching and learning, or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
yeah, yeah.
Quote
Last
me.
night, looking at mutants at Bored Ape Yacht Club and learning. So, yeah, it might not just be a little bit of a publicity stunt, and you know maybe watch his wallet and see what happens.
This is hands down the biggest purchase that's ever happened in NFTs, in my opinion. The last real aggressive bull run was kicked off when Visa bought a Punk. The Punk bot was just going nonstop for like 36 hours after Visa did that. And I think we just saw something similar with Bored Apes. I
So,
believe that after, yeah, go ahead.
no, no, keep going.
I think that after this last market correction that we went through, and given how well Bored Apes held up, I think I'm ready to say they are the second blue chip NFT.
Yeah, that's a big call out, and that's something that we've talked about pretty frequently as to whether or not they actually are. They have to survive a bear market, and whether you want to call the last 4 weeks a true, real bear market or just kind of a speed bump in the road kind of remains to be seen. But they held their floor really well, and the volume on Bored Apes went crazy. We're gonna look at that in a second, but I also want to talk about Timbaland jumping into Bored Apes and launching his very own production company under kind of the Bored Ape brand. So it's going to be called Ape-In Productions. So you know, this is going to be something to watch for. I don't know that there's a lot of clarification on what's going to actually happen. Like, it's obviously going to be using the Bored Ape IP. Timbaland's obviously very big in the music space, so there's definitely going to be some influence there. But it really does feel like Bored Ape is becoming the supreme of the metaverse. Really, like it's just it like you've used the word hype beast a couple times. 100% is like
Entertainment companies are going to lease your Bored Ape to use in media. That's going to happen. And Timberland is one of the people helping to set that up. This is a force. They are, if Artifact invented utility, Bored Apes is reinventing it. And I expect so many projects to take that cue, and for the better. I don't consider copying bad, especially when it's a good model. It's the right thing to do. And hats off to the monkeys.
The volume on these projects, the three Bored Ape, Mutant Ape, and the Bored Ape Kennel Club, has been unreal this weekend too.
Nuts.
Right, like it's just
Yeah.
I'm looking at them and for floors of 3, 4, 5 ETH or 6 ETH now that the mutants are up to 6.3 as I'm looking at it and seeing volumes of like a couple probably 6, 7, 8, 10 sales an hour. Like that's pretty impressive. And even Bored Apes, I mean, like just it looks like there's got to be 50, 60 in the last day, maybe even more. So
Yeah, dogs may be your last cheap entry into that club. I don't know the specifics, but some people say there's an Easter egg referring to the dogs in the 2.0 roadmap they released. So if you have to FOMO into apes and you can't afford a mutant, the kennels may be your last bet.
yeah, absolutely. And we had a pretty interesting discussion in our pre-show about this. And I don't even think we had originally intended to talk about this, but one of the things that I said and think, and this might sound like blasphemy to some people, is that honestly, I think that apes might actually flip CryptoPunks. Dare I say it?
It's it's hard for me to say, and I think it's going to take a few years to pan out. As you got to wash out the people that paid $200 for an ape, and that's not to be mean. But as these things get to $1 million, if you don't have $1 million, it's a little ridiculous to hold that membership pass. And I think very, very few who minted it originally are going to be holding by that point. And I suppose it's possible. I mean, LarvaLabs has completely ignored their community and really dropped the ball as we ramp into the metaverse. Their big metaverse play, Meebits, which was released to huge fanfare. We're talking about a 20K collection. 20K, that's interesting. Launching and immediately going to a 6E floor. All right. I mean, that is crazy. And they had a real potential to be the mainstay in the metaverse, and Kongs just ate their lunch. I mean, it is no longer the vanity play to have a CryptoPunk and a Meebit. It's a CryptoPunk and a Kong. and the Kong is what you use in the metaverse. So LarvaLabs is dropping the ball here, and while punks I don't think are ever in danger of quote unquote crashing,
No, I'm
they're
not really saying
only
that. Yeah.
no, yeah, I feel you. They're living completely on their OG status and their history right now. There's no obvious utility coming from LarvaLabs. Now, that said, having a punk in your profile is instant utility in life and in the metaverse. As we know, a punk in a project or running a project gives it instant credibility. And I don't think that's going away. But LarvaLabs has not evolved with the industry. And a lot of original punk holders are pretty unhappy because they really had the chance to own the entire mindshare. In this NFT space.
Yeah, like when I say flip punks, I mean just almost as the culturally relevant force in the NFT space. One of the main themes about NFT NYC is that the apes were everywhere. Like there was ape merch, there was the yacht party. Like it was like you were part of this club, and everybody was doing stuff with the apes, and this and that, and like people are like, yeah, I saw a couple Cryptopunk twins pins, and it didn't feel like there was a presence there. And I think as we look at the movement that the NFT is or the movement that the NFT has in the culturally relevant space, Bored Apes really does seem to be leading the pack, and they just keep rolling. And like again, CryptoPunks, I don't think are ever not going to be valuable. I think they might actually always be more expensive than Bored Apes, but Bored Apes just seems to be like the de facto NFT brand at this point.
CryptoPunks are the Bitcoin of NFTs. They do nothing, they hold their value, and they give you some status, but Bored Apes are the Ethereum.
Great analogy, because Bitcoin is number one, and personally I always do believe it will be number one, but in this world right now, Ethereum is like the play. Everybody's using it, everybody's interacting with it, and Bored Apes sitting on top of that definitely isn't hurting it either. So yeah, really interesting discussion to kind of have, and I'm sure we'll be doing it again as that race kind of continues, and it seems to be a race at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's heat. It's neck and neck. Well, not quite, but those Bored Apes are catching fast. So
yeah. So uh, with all of that in mind, actually, some great news as well. OpenSea actually doubled its volume in the last little bit. So yesterday was the highest trading volume day on OpenSea in the last 4 weeks since I think October 15th. $105 million in volume. So hugely bullish sign. Definitely look for that to continue to increase. Maybe it is just a little bit of a bull trap, but for the time being, it definitely feels exciting.
yeah, bull market and bear market is the wrong way to frame what's going on. We don't know how long these peaks and troughs are going to last, but there's an obvious uptick in volume. The people buying these things yesterday are not flippers. I think these whales are extremely intelligent. They sat back for a really long time. They went out partying at NFT NYC. They said, let these traders flounder. Let them panic, okay? Let's get them e-liquidated. And it worked really damn well because they came in yesterday and bought up everything on sale. And if you didn't delist, you got caught up in the sweep and now may miss the next leg up. So
yeah, our Moon Lounge whale watching bot was just going nuts. It is a little bit on the fritz, I should say too, for anyone new looking at it. It is like triple or quadruple reporting some buys. They still are legitimate, but it might be a little more bonkers than it actually is. But like some of the names that just went ham this weekend are the biggest names in the space. Gary V started minting and buying a whole bunch of shit this weekend. Sneaky just like absolutely went crazy with the broom on the Gape floor. 888 was loading up on Deadfellas. Psyduck was buying shitloads of Cool Cats. Monkeverse was getting bought up by everybody. Not a Whale went crazy on that one. Seeing the activity on the secondary market for these whales again. I mean, a lot of the volume that we saw on OpenSea was actually probably them, but again, like they're back, and NFTs are back with it for now at least. All right, so we're gonna move on from there. Speaking of a bull market, AlphaMint members last night went absolutely ham on the Poodles project. I don't know if you got a chance to see that, or even if you bought any of them, but I know Maz was up all night rocking the Poodle profile and buying those, minting those. It was a free mint. It was dropped in the Degen Dojo, and I don't know if it was boredom, if everybody wanted to stick it to the Doodles brand, but yeah, that was kind of the talk of the town in AlphaMint last night. Were you able to get in on that at all? Oh, I actually, sorry, I didn't even realize. I gotta invite him up. Technical difficulties. Oh my god, I was talking. Sorry about that.
I got reset there, no problem. I think the first thing we saw coming out of the really depressed period was mints starting to sell out. You know, we hadn't seen the secondary volume, especially in projects that already existed, but we saw mints starting to sell out. And then as secondary volume came back in a big way last night, there were some really successful mints. We have a bunch of now. The Poodles was a free mint, and a lot of our AlphaMint members got into that. But I think the real story yesterday were these little Bored Apes, which I think probably benefited from the general uptick in all things ape related. But shout out to Rajesh with the insane alpha who posted it 2 days ago when it was a free mint. The first 200 were free. And he posted it again during the mint. And I believe we're sitting at a 0.4 floor this morning from a 0.02 mint. So shout out to Rajesh for that just insane 20x alpha overnight.
For the, which one are you referring to? The little baby ape club?
The little baby ape club.
Yeah. I was going to say Poodle's floor not holding itself that well, as I talked about, but again, it was a free mint, so I think everyone was just having a lot of fun with that. But yeah, the little baby ape club was it kind of came out of nowhere. Obviously, it's a ape derivative, and we've talked a lot about apes today. But yeah, 5K mint. It was 0.02. Really pisses me off that their website's mint counter isn't working, even though they've minted out. But I guess I don't really care. I'm just doing the old man, like, get off my lawn type thing. But yeah, so that was a huge piece of alpha, and a couple of members were able to capitalize on that really well. So you always love to see that, and Rajesh has just been killing it on some of the alpha lately.
A gold baby ape sold for 7E last night, and there was another 5E sale as well, I think for a laser eyes or something similar. So wow. That, you know, you usually don't see sales that big in a project that's going to die anytime soon. So very, very good call there, Rajesh. Turn those profits into begons now.
Yeah, speaking of begons, we're going to talk about begons for the next 2 hours. So grab your... No, I'm kidding. I don't even know.
Pull up a chair, Rajesh.
Oh my God, we're almost at that 30 live listeners mark, and I think that means that Lucas is going to go buy a punk once we hit that. I'm pretty sure he said that.
Yep, he committed to it. His first big purchase since the helicopter accident.
Where he sadly lost his treasure and his ledger. But yeah, so little baby ape club. You know, it's hard to see where these the derivatives are actually going to land, but the volume on that has been pretty astounding. Lots of purchases. I see some verified accounts buying them. Like there's got to be 60, 70, 80 in the last hour, but you know, the floor has held firm. Like you said, there's some big purchases. You know, derivatives tend to be pretty hit or miss, and when they miss hard. But I guess with the hype in the Bored Ape community, just being in proximity to something that looks like it, even though they're not affiliated with it at all, might just have some value. So definitely a project to keep your eye on. Hot take.
They look better than apes.
Whoa.
They look better than the big ones.
Why? Because they have more negative space on the background?
They're cute, man.
No, yeah, they actually
you can never bet against cute.
They are cute. They look good. They're pretty clean. And
Yeah.
obviously right on brand with the Bored Apes, even
And
though again,
normies are gonna have no idea. They're just gonna be like, "Oh, you have something from the apes."
yeah. Another one that we'll quickly touch on because I actually don't know that much about it, but came out of nowhere on Friday was the Corruptions. That one minted out in a hurry. It's kind of like text JPEG looking stuff, but it shot up to like a point 0.8 floor for a while, and almost 2,000 ETH in volume over the weekend. So it just says experimental art, no roadmap, and absolutely no promises. Definitely doesn't sound like loot or anything like that, but see where that goes.
This is a project that is after my heart. I am not a fan of roadmaps, especially early on, because I think it puts too much hope in the minds of your members that things are going to happen on a timeline, which is very hard to keep up with when life gets in the way. So I like that.
Yeah,
no roadmap.
We've
Good.
talked about that a few times. Definitely, I would rather have no expectations than expectations I know you can't meet. So yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely been on the same page about the roadmaps on projects when we're looking at it. So we got a couple of other small little topics that we can lead into before kind of the final one that's going to be the big news of the week. But See My Cats, for anybody that's still involved in that and still holding that, that was a project that was an anonymized derivative. It had some burn. They look good. They're simple little pixel art. You burned them. You got to re-roll them. You got to stake them for Mies, which is their token, kind of like Cheeth for anonymized. And it was a lot of fun while it was going on. Gas was pretty reasonable at the time. We were doing a lot of flipping, and I think at one point they reached almost a 0.9 floor. We all got in on them in the mint, and seemed like a giant win. But I think we almost got a little bit too diamond-handed looking for them to actually be the next anonymized. And they have been through tough times. Now, they had a project that they were planning on doing with the zombies, where you would be able to buy a graveyard and dig some zombie cats out, and the zombie cats were like part of some of the cats that had been burned. So for every cat that was burned, there was going to be a zombie available. All sounded really good. It seemed like the timing was going to be great for them to launch around mid-October, and then they just couldn't pull the trigger, and then gas got out of control. They were planning on launching by Halloween, so you're thinking, okay, like the floor is dropping, the value of these things are going to nil. They're losing their hype, and maybe it'll come back on Halloween with zombies. And then once again, they did not pull the trigger. So, 2 weeks after that, now the contract has been deployed. If you are still holding them, maybe it's something you want to partake in. I think I'm going to. But for me, this really is just like, it's time to see if this project is dead or not. And I hope it isn't, obviously, because I know we are both holding bags, and including a pretty magenta boy that we went halvesies on. But yeah, what's your take? What do you think?
A very well conceived project. I actually like the art better than mice, which is not very important in these type of things. But this, I really think, is just a result of devs losing interest because it's not paying them anything, right? Like when you put a 0% royalty on your project to try to signal to people that you're devoted and you're not trying to take people's money and you're trying to make, all you're doing is making it appealing for traders who are going to dump and not hold anyway, right? It's really just not the best practice, and you're not doing anyone any favors by not making any money. I mean, money is the great motivator for a lot of these projects, regardless of what the devs say. And I hope it comes back, but I won't be surprised if it doesn't, mainly because the devs really dropped the ball. Now, they definitely would not have had a good time launching into the atmosphere the last 6 weeks. I don't think it would have been some big revival just because they launched.
I do think the timing for them
really
was horrendous, and it's not their fault. Like, they just marched headfirst into like high gas and NFT bear market, but like,
yeah,
I actually am starting to think that 0% royalty is a red flag. Like, it seems like a great idea. Like, you could trade these; they're not going to be taking a cut. But I don't know. I can't. Can you think of any projects that take zero royalties that have just like done really well? Like, You need to
No.
actually keep these things going. You need to be able to pay people or yourself to dedicate the time to work on these projects, manage the community, manage the product. Unless it's just like one of those, like, here's a quick, like, 100-piece generative art that I did. I'm just going to throw it out there and whatever happens, happens. But even then, like, just take your money. Everybody is used to paying it. OpenSea charges you 2.5%. Why the fuck shouldn't you get your 2.5% too?
Yeah, it doesn't do anybody any favors. So, give yourself some motivation to stay active in your project, and the people who own it will appreciate that.
100%. So yeah, look for that to come about in the next maybe day or two, and if you have them and you're participating, and if you're not participating, maybe hopefully look for a good exit point on them as well. Like I said, their floor was up to 0.9 at one point, and some of the more rares, I mean, they weren't super rare, but some of the more rares are easily going for over an ETH. I had a couple that I could have taken that for and decided not to. Again, maybe being a little too diamond handed, but yeah. So let's move on. Let's talk kaijus. I'm just going to throw this to you and let you run with it.
Well, there was just a bit of news. When kaijus initially launched, we're on a contract that wouldn't allow them to upgrade and do certain things that they wanted to do with kaijus when they had originally designed the contract. Things evolve and all that. So they had migrated people over to they had actually minted out already 1,800 pre-sales when they realized they had to do this contract.
The hype on that pre-sale project was nuts.
Yeah, I think it defined the model that all these pixel art projects are trying to copy now. It was, quickly, it was a 500-person Discord that was a very close-knit community that one night, I don't even know how word got out, but Hologram, big shout out in our Moon Lounge, dropped the alpha, and a few of us were able to get on that whitelist, and it's just been a force since then. So they minted out 1,800 pre-sale, had to migrate the contract over. So instead of a very messy announcement, they actually turned the old NFT into something called Failed Experiment. And they put a very, very cool JPEG up as the new image there and said that it would have future utility, but they haven't announced it yet. So we've been waiting patiently. About a week or a week and a half ago, they announced an announcement was coming soon and you'd be able to trade them soon. One feature about this contract that was interesting, I had never seen before, is that you were not able to trade the pre-sale NFT until they, clicked a certain button and let it go live. So you would have these situations where people were kind of stink bidding, 10E on something that was worth 1E because they knew the bid couldn't be accepted. People were speculating it was troll bids just to mess with people. But that was these things, we had them and we couldn't trade them. They were locked. People could put prices on them, but you couldn't sell them. So yesterday, they finally announced they were tradable with no information yet as to what they do. But now that they're tradable, there are rumors within the Discord that it's going to allow you to create a mutant baby. So if you don't know, 2 kaijus and the token that they give you can create babies. So if you look at the kaiju floor right now, it says it's 1.3, which is a little deceptive because people are making these babies with 2 kaijus and dumping them on the floor. A Genesis kaiju.
Yeah, if you go in really quickly and you're looking at OpenSea, like if you go into properties and you look for the origin, the babies are the ones that all tend to have those lower floors. Another one of those reasons why looking on WGMI can be a little bit deceptive. The floor on Kaiju has actually gone up, which I think you were probably just about to say. But because these babies are being made and put on to the market, the floor does look depressed because they are part of the same project.
Yeah, they didn't distinguish. They didn't make 2 collections for the babies, just like Kong's, how they're mixed in with the Genesis. So the floor on Genesis actually went from 2.8 to 4.1 yesterday, basically getting a bid along with everything else. We talked about it a lot over the last few weeks about how watch the projects that could hold the floor or even see a slight bump during that pullback, those are the ones that are going to lead us out of it. And that's exactly what happened. Creature World, kaijus, bored apes, all these things that held their floors pretty well were able to lead us out of it. So now that the failed experiment NFTs are able to trade, they're sitting at a floor of about 0.63. So you're able to make conventional babies with 2 kaijus and 750 R waste, which is their token. They're now speculating that 1 kaiju and 1 failed experiment. Yesterday they thought it was 2. Now we're hearing just 1 kaiju and 1 failed experiment will allow you to make a mutant baby. So this is really interesting. They'll obviously have a distinguishable look compared to the normal babies, and where there will eventually be 6,666 kaiju babies, there will only be about 1,800 of these mutants. So they will have a lower supply than the babies. The babies are selling at about 1.3 right now, which we can expect to continue to go down as more are minted until the Genesis collection starts to get back up to those old highs when it'll drag everything underneath with it. But that was some exciting stuff in the Kaiju project. Just really a masterclass in what to do if you have to do a contract migration versus an example of someone like Orcs, who we love. We love Orcs, but they had one of the messier contract migrations I've ever seen. Whereas Kaiju really not only did it smoothly, but was able to provide now just even more value to their holders.
Yeah, as somebody that doesn't actually hold any kaijus, I think I barely missed out on getting into the pre-sale. Bit of a bummer. Obviously, financially would have been a huge win, but you know what? Honestly, I think I'd be in the same boat as you and still holding these. As far as pixel art goes, they are amazing. Like it is simple. It's not the most detailed stuff that you see, but like I look at some of the rarity traits, and we discussed this a little bit earlier. That the kind of the downside about them is that the more plain ones the more plain ones do kind of mesh together, but you get some of the rarer traits. Oh my god, I'm stumbling here. And they really do pop. Some of the glasses, some of the hats, the chain is one of like my favorite little tidbits of pixel art, right? Like that little yellow strip is just like so beautifully detailed. Like these are actually quality projects. Again, like would like to see a little bit more variance. Some of the backgrounds are pretty bland. But yeah, a great project, and something that I don't think is going to go anywhere. And the Discord is just like rabid, tight knit community.
Yeah, I love that Discord. I spend a lot of time in the Alpha channel. I think these guys are young Kongs in the making, and that floor was just really impressively held. And I agree. I think the commons are quite underwhelming. A few of us minted them. I think 3 of us got commons, but somebody in our AM room, Flying Kiwi, got one of the Grail rare. Well, I wouldn't say Grail rares. It wasn't a legendary, but one of the ones I coveted, the Cameron Kaiju, which has the famous pink Cameron hoodie on. What a great pull he got. Ooh, man, it is gorgeous. Yeah, go find it. They're really sick. I think there's only 3 in the collection, if I remember, with the Cameron hoodie. Really beautiful. But yeah, the commons are a little underwhelming, but man, those rares and even just the less common commons make up for it. I love that project. The artist, I believe the name is pronounced Bell, but it's spelled 3ELL, which I think is said as Bell, but he is incredible. Dots, the head dev there, is an all-star, and big shout out to all my kings.
Oh, I just found the trait. Oh yeah, cool. That's pretty sick. Nice.
Yeah, I love them.
All right, and so I guess enough about kaiju. Obviously, lots going on in that world, and we'll continue to keep an eye on them. Some exciting things on the horizon, but obviously the big news of the week and the kind of the looming storm cloud that we've been talking about for the last little bit is the Clonex drop. We did get a date that we announced. Well, we didn't announce it. We reiterated it on the show. You like to believe that you announced it, but yes. So on the 18th, which is the Thursday this week, The pre-sale is kicking off for the Clonex project. This is the big one. This is, the 20K super hype drop that everybody's been looking at, everybody's been waiting for, and is definitely going to be an indicator of where the NFT market goes from here. Pretty encouraging that we're actually seeing some volume leading into this too, and you got to be pretty pumped about that.
This is so perfect. I don't even mean it's perfect that it guarantees that Clonex is going to work out, but it's going to show whether this was a dead cat bounce or the beginning of something new. Because
True,
if
yeah.
if Clonex goes well, I do expect those good time feelings to carry on into the next few weeks and ideally into the Christmas and the New Year. But what if it's the peak of just this little dead cat bounce we saw, and it's really hyped, everyone goes into it, the pre-sale sells out 6E before the reveal, and then the reveal is, I don't want to predict it, but it is a perfect bellwether for this bounce we're seeing. Let's see if this volume is legit. I think it is. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping to pull a Takashi Murakami drip. Those are going to be the super rares. Man,
I understood
really
some of those words. Yes. No, honestly, like one of the thesis that we have is that 3D doesn't typically play well, at least not right now. It's not in the meta. This could be something that changes that. I don't know. I'm holding some G-Vols that might benefit very well from a 3D run here. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that this is, Jimmy Fallon is a great sign, because for these to be successful, we know that right now the NFT space is focused on pixel art and different things than what Clonex is launching. But when normies look at 3D art, it tends to grab them. These are going to be luxury accessories like a handbag. After all, Takashi Murakami is contracted by Louis Vuitton, makes some of the nicest luggage I've ever seen, and I do expect that to translate into his NFTs as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting time. For those of you that haven't been following it or don't know, there is the pre-sale that's going on the 18th. That'll be a 0.05 mint for, I think it's 10,000 people, or 10,000 mints, sorry.
3,300 of us, I believe.
Right, okay, and that's based on holding the Fuo shoes that you have. But
and any official artifact NFT, there is a list in their Discord, and
gotcha.
I'm sure Dylan can give you some customer service if necessary as well.
Yeah, our very own DJ Tropics here in the AlphaMint is a mod over there too, and he is looking forward to this drop for sure.
Talk about someone on the uptick. Let's go, Dylan.
Yeah, he's killing it. Big win for those people that are able to pre-mint this though, because you have a couple of options, and we're going to dissect this after the fact, but the Fuos are they still at a 15E floor?
The shoes are 13, and the bonus item that came with the shoes is 12.5, or the shoes are 14.
Yeah, so there's going to be a snapshot at some point of the holders of these. They're going to be able to mint for 0.05 of the Clonex. The other half of the Clonex drop is doing a Dutch auction. Have they confirmed it's starting at 3 ETH?
I don't know if it's confirmed that they're starting at 3. All they said is that a Dutch auction will start between 3 and 1.
Gotcha. Okay. So it'll be very interesting to see where they mint out at. You got to believe that that's going to set the floor for this project, at least for the short-term trading aspect of it. So if you're able to mint in the pre-sale, you're probably looking at a nice little profit. Now, it starts to get a little bit tricky, and there's some game theory involved. Should you have just taken the 13 or 15 ETH for the Fuos instead of that? That's where it remains to be seen. If this drop is anything like Mecca, the answer is no. You take your Clonex and you either sell them pre-reveal, or you hold them and you either believe in the project long term, or you hope to pull one of those rares and hopefully get a 50 ETH sell. The alternative is that maybe the hype doesn't kind of pan out. Maybe there's some issues with the drop. maybe 20,000 is just too high of a supply. I don't think so for this project, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of what ifs and what could have beens for people. It's going to be a lot of fun to at least even just talk about. I have no skin in the game. You do. It's going to be a great conversation next week.
I'd say the good news is that there's going to be 48 hours before reveal, so you can feel pretty good about the reason these have a premium right now is the speculation on what these should be worth. Before they reveal, that speculation should remain. So I think minting them is not a tough decision. You should at least still have that value and a decision to make for 48 hours after you've minted them for 0.05. But like you said, it is going to be interesting to see whether it is positive EV afterwards or not. I mean, I paid 1.2 for the shoes. All the things they've given me now are worth close to 30E, including the physicals and all that stuff. And, Artifact is very smart. I expect them to give, even if it's not announced beforehand, which I wish they would do, because it seems like a very big brain move to help maintain the value of these NFTs that have a huge, even if they only fell 50%, they'd be 7x where they were before this premium was built into them. But I expect them to have future utility as well. The rumor is that FIWO specific, because there are other artifact NFTs that are not, but the FIWO specific artifact NFTs will be mint passes for his PFP project, which should be coming out next year. That's only a rumor for now, but they are coming. Those rumors are coming from the right people. So.
Yeah, lots to look forward to. And again, this is a market mover and a market leader. So I think with things being on the uptick, we can feel pretty good about it. It does feel like there's a shift from last week where it's like, ooh, let's wait and see how this goes and maybe it'll do something. But with the excitement back in the NFT space, the whales getting active, Fallon buying a Bored Ape, it feels like they might have just fallen ass backwards into like perfect timing. So who knows?
It almost seems choreographed, doesn't it?
I mean,
like they called all their whale friends and said, "It's time."
Yeah, go sweep the Gape floor. I don't know.
Go sweep Gape. Yep.
Do us a solid and sweep every other project, please. Yeah. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Crazier things have happened.
They have the connects, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, on that note, at the end of every show, we've got a lot of new listeners in here. So at the end of every show, we typically go for about 30, 40 minutes, and then we open up the mics to an open mic session. We bring people up to talk about things they're looking at, ask us questions about what's going on in the NFT space. If we don't know the answers, it's always great for us to take a quick note and maybe jot it down. If we find something interesting, we'll look into it and do it on the next show. We've got some resident guests that always pop up here, but with some new faces, hopefully we'll see some of you up here as well.
No, we have never heard of Star Wolf.
Actually, just really quickly want to touch on that, especially for people that have found their way through like the Star Wolves Twitter and whatnot. It is important to note that all of the team that is part of Star Wolves is part of AlphaMint. We are all in the Moon Lounge and all very active in here. It's kind of where we all cut our teeth, started learning together, and connected. That and the BitClout days. So, is AlphaMint officially related to Star Wolves? No, there's not been any serious discussion about that. But if you're looking for proximity to the project, you're not in an awful space. I will just say that.
Correct.
So, on that note, I know we'll bring Seb up, the newest member of the Moon Lounge. He can come up and say hi. And also, I was talking to Charles last night. I think he wanted to come and have a quick discussion with us as well. So, if you want to raise your hand, I will invite you to speak after, if you can. And if not, we can do it again or even in the chat. So, Seb, what's going on, man?
What's good? How are we doing?
We're doing great, man. How about you?
Yeah, very well. Thank you very well. So yeah, I've just discovered the group and it looks really good. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so
thank you, man. Happy to have you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself if you want to. Obviously you don't have to go into specific details, but where you're from, how long you've been in NFTs for.
So yeah, not long at all. So basically I got really lucky with Kaiju.
Yeah.
Managed to get in the little group that got created there for the Discord, and there was the minting error where people can mint too. So you got really lucky with that.
Wow.
and then sold them, and then with that money withdrew a lot for house deposit, etc. But
huge win, honestly. Like
no, exactly.
Amazing,
we
man.
deal with a lot of like
Amazing.
1 ETH is 1 ETH, and we're looking to stack it, but it's important to remember that some of these amounts, even just selling a couple of kaijus, can be like literal life changing money. So it's great to see that
Exactly.
people are actually taking advantage of that too. So amazing for you, man.
Beautiful.
For sure. And then since then, I've been trying to, obviously, I kept a little bit of ETH, and then I've been trying to build that back up and see where we can go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, just recent projects. I've been getting a few here and there, but hoping that after joining you guys, I can maybe learn a bit more
Yeah.
and be a bit closer to some alphas, etc.
Yeah, well, obviously we've had, like as we talked about earlier in the show, had some big wins in the past, and even just recently with little baby apes. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that we're super strong with is finding whitelists to get on early, get on quick, communicating and collaborating on how to do that fast. And we're also pretty good at weeding out the shit, if I'm being honest with you. Like we kind of have this hive mind of like, you know, a couple people say nay, and everyone's like, ah, yeah, they're probably right. There have definitely been misses, but not as many as the big wins, for sure.
For sure. So the question I had actually, and the reason I put my hand up, is to see if you guys have an opinion on. So recently, obviously, the last couple of days, ETH has come back quite well.
Yeah.
And all the blue chips are doing quite well again. So for the last 2 weeks, maybe Sol minting has been tragic, horrible, and just completely bricked. Everything they mint, even if it's a good project, so Rustbots like 2 days ago, looked a really good project on the outset, had good influences, etc. And just bricks immediately. Is there anything now ETH is coming back? Do you think that Sol minting might come back, or is it still going to be the horrible place
So
where nobody?
yeah, you know what, we aren't big bulls on Sol, but it's obviously come so far, and the price has increased to the point where we can't really ignore it. The ETH network and the ETH NFT ecospace, that was a mouthful. It's so robust and so deep that it's almost hard to even just take your eyes off that for fear of missing anything. So it's typically where we lie our focus on. But yeah, I do think that a little bit more research into Sol projects warrants some discussion for sure. And we always allow people, like, we encourage people to share alpha in any NFT project. There were some even Bitcoin NFTs floating around in the Degen Dojo earlier this month. So free market, what's your opinion on it? What do you think about Sol? You think it coming back? Yours is probably going to be stronger than mine.
No, I sure it seems to have staying power. I think the most interesting project on there is Star Atlas.
I always forget that's a Sol project. Yeah, that one looks fucking dope.
Right. I guess my only, because I don't trade Sol, I don't own any, and I've never minted an NFT there. I think my only advice is don't buy a project that copies something on Ethereum. What were those, the original Sol project? What were they called? Those little monkeys? They're cute. They're like 8-bit pixelated little monkeys. They almost look like the little Bored Apes or whatever. They're a 24px or something.
I don't remember that. Actually.
Yeah, they were yeah, it's SBMs, isn't it? Or SMBs, sorry.
Yeah. Yes. So yes, that was them. SMBs. They're cute. They're good. They're original. If you're gonna dabble in Sol, I would just focus on projects like that or gaming, because for me to get on board with Sol long term, I really want to see them carve out a niche. I think just trying to copy what the other L1s or what Ethereum does is not the play. I think the L1s that remain successful are the ones that have carved out very specific niches and do them better than any of the other chains do.
For sure. It's just full of copycat projects, isn't it, at the moment?
I mean, 99%, but honestly, 99% of the projects on ETH are junk. It's just, I think it's easier to spot the junk on Solana since most of them are copies currently. Like Tezos, it's a great alternative L1 where artists actually put original stuff there. Like there's stuff on Tezos you're not going to see on any other chain by artists who tend to want a more environmentally conscious chain, whatever your opinion is on that. I think Hycen has a lot more interesting stuff than Solana currently.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got a work call in 5 minutes. I'm gonna have to leave you go.
Thanks for showing up and thanks for joining with us too. Actually, man, it's exciting to have you here, and it's always great to see some new faces. So look forward to further engagement.
For sure. Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, have a great day at work, man. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to bring Charles up, and then I've got Cass, who's another new member, set to go as well. So, Charles, you can join the stage whenever you're comfortable. Also, just really quickly, while Charles is jumping up on stage, I did notice that there is an Art Blocks curated drop today. I didn't even see that. Did you?
No, I didn't, because I think the one area...
Is that what I'm seeing on the NFT calendar? Yeah, the 15th, yeah.
I better. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think the one area that still has not even remotely begun to climb out of its hole is generative art. Art Blocks took another huge leg lower this weekend as the PFP trend, firmly makes itself known that it is here, it is now, and Gen Art will be continuing to take a back seat for the time being.
Yeah, Curated's one of those ones that always seem to do well, though. I mean, it's got the Dutch auction. They typically sell out pretty high and then do well in the secondary. Yeah, always.
Yeah, certainly
always
a good flip.
If you're willing to participate in a Dutch auction, that can get a little dicey. So
that will probably run you 3.
Yeah, not cheap.
Yeah.
So, Charles, what's going on? You dropped a question in the chat last night, but if you want to relay it again, let's have a conversation.
Yeah, sweet. What's up, guys? So
what's up?
I guess I've been, chilling on DSO, stacking some DSO, but I've been really wanting to get into
what? No, I'm kidding. I'm
sorry. Sorry. Yeah, it's all good. Anyway, but so I wanted to start getting to the ETH space. So I was just asking what's a good starting point to start at? Say if I wanted to OTC into some ETH, what do you guys think is a good base to start at?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call. It all depends on what your risk tolerance is. You're a pretty young guy, so you got some time to bounce back if you ever make some mistakes. But I think depending on what your game plan is, if you're planning on getting in on some mints, and it seems like it might be a good time to actually start doing that. I think starting with 0.5, if you're comfortable with that number, could be pretty good. 0.2, 0.5 if you're pretty conservative. Typically, when people are looking to build a stack through minting, the goal is to get in, watch the volume of the mint, and make sure that it's actually a project that's going to mint out. And then I personally would start with maybe minting about 3 of them, and then watching the secondary, right? And then my goal would be to flip 1 or 2 of them, depending on how quickly the floor starts shooting up, for to break even or a slight profit on the entire mint plus gas. Don't ever forget to include gas in your cost basis, because I think a lot of people forget to do that, and it eats away at your stack. So always remember that gas is part of your cost basis. Try and sell 1 or 2 of them to break even on the entire purchase, and then you have a choice of whether or not you want to hold the other one for a long term if you think it's a project that's going to be good, or you can just sell that other one for pure profit, and then you can kind of build your stack, take some out of your trading stack too, and start to stack it on the side, right? And don't just keep doubling down, because your risk of ruin will be very high. But yeah, just start slowly plugging away, and if you're pretty successful at that, you're gonna have some bad mints, you're gonna have some flops, so don't overcommit. But if you're successful at it, and then your stack grows, then you start to mint 5. Then you start to mint 6, and maybe you can sell 2 or 3 to break even, and then you can hold 2, and then sell 1 for a profit, and then hold 1 for a long term, right? Some of the huge outsized returns are the people that held Cryptopunks for God knows how long, are the ones that held Bored Apes for all that time, last 6, 7, 8, 9 months, right? But if you're working with low liquidity, you don't really have that luxury. So that's typically where I try and get to, right? Galactic Apes was a great one for me. I minted 4 of them. I was able to sell one of them to break even on my entire purchase. I sold another one, and I could have held a lot longer and made a lot more. But based on where I was with my liquidity, like I felt really good about one, breaking even, so I'm free rolling on the rest of them. Two, taking a little bit of profit out, and now I'm holding two, and I've watched it go from, you know, 0.8 floor to 2.8 floor, back down to 0.9 floor. And the long and short of it is, I don't really feel any regret about any of it. So that's my kind of take on it and how you can build a stack free market. You have definitely a different style than I do. What would you say?
I guess the easy answer is put the most on there that you're willing to lose. And I don't just mean that in the responsibility sense. I think that having as much ETH there as possible is a good idea. And then there's two basic strategies. There's minting and buying on the secondary. Buying on the secondary is going to require a lot more capital and a lot more analysis. Minting is almost quick draw stuff. Sit in the Moon Lounge. You wait for a mint. We do quick analysis for maybe 5 minutes or less, and then you run in and try to mint. And it's a volume game. You try to mint a bunch and then sell them into that volume. But buying on the secondary is also fun and profitable. So I'd put as much as you are comfortable losing, whether that's 0.3, 0.5, or 1. And the mods and experts in the Moon Lounge can certainly guide you based on what your liquidity is. I mean, your strategy is going to constantly evolve as your liquidity goes up. So
yeah, great point as well. It's, you know, I would never put like 100% of your investment, like, you know, if you've managed to make, say, 5 ETH in DSO, and you're still bullish on that platform, like don't take it all off just to jump into NFTs looking to flip back into DSO, or, you know, some you know, multi-step parlay or anything like that. But yeah, just take a piece of it out and then just look to build it. Be responsible. I mean, the best people that are, you know, a lot of them in the Moon Lounge, like, discipline is probably the biggest word that comes to mind with people that are very, very successful, right? You got to kind of cut your teeth, and there's going to be missteps that you make. Lord knows I've had my fair share of them. And as long as you can kind of step back and be a little bit self-reflective and say, yeah, I fucked up there. You'll be all right. You're going to have to go through those learning curves to figure it out. There is going to be some pain, but yeah, I think if you follow the lessons and the game plan that a lot of people show, you'll be good.
Trading is a journey of self. No style is right. Find your strengths and lean into it.
Yeah, and actually, Drip Cult mentioned it in the AM show chat, and I meant to say it in that kind of rant that I went on earlier, but yeah, whitelist minting, getting in on the whitelist so that you can avoid gas wars and keep your cost basis low. Guarantee yourself a mint, like that's going to be huge for you too. A lot of us get in on 5, 6, 7, 8 white lists, and then you know, depending on where the market is, you get to mint all of them, or you're choosing of them. But white lists are huge, and that's actually something that the Moon Lounge is pretty incredible at.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that's cool. That actually answers some of my questions. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. And of course, like, if you want to keep that conversation going, either in DMs or like the general chat or the DGen Dojo, like there's going to be a lot of really knowledgeable people that'll definitely give you their 2 cents, whether or not you agree with it. So I'm going to invite Cass up on there. Thanks, Charles, for jumping up with us. If anybody else wants to come up and talk, just raise your hand up. We'll get you on next. We will probably be wrapping the show up shortly thereafter, but yeah. So Cass, welcome to the Moon Lounge. If you're talking right now, we actually can't hear you. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like you're muted. Well, you are muted now. The joys of Discord. It's not perfect. You know what? Maybe jump off the stage and I'll reinvite you up. Sometimes that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah. Perfect. You're in.
Nice to meet you guys, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Thanks for hopping up with us.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just I didn't really have any questions as such. It was just more to say hi.
Hello.
Hello. I think Cloud Cobain more or less answered all my questions before I even was going to ask any of them.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, I guess. Is that?
Which I can appreciate. I can totally appreciate. One thing I wanted to say though, in regards of keeping the suspense with the Twitter account, you guys have done phenomenal.
Oh,
Like,
Thank
seriously, hats off, because I tend to be in a lot of discords and people, people saying the way that marketing should be, and marketing should be this, and marketing should be that, and the typical corporate way that the real world actually deals with marketing. Yeah, and for you guys to have done what you've done is just so Metaverse, Web3, decentralized. It is just great. Literally, it just incorporated everything about the space in what you've done with that.
I appreciate that.
But
I know Free Market and the rest of us will too, because it's been a labor of love, and honestly, it's been a lot of fucking fun. So there's that.
I could imagine.
Yeah, we're so pumped, and we really appreciate. I mean, we're trying to be very measured and really do it right. Like Cobain said, this is a labor of love. This project means a lot to us. We closely identify with the characters we're building here, and we're so excited to share it with the world. Thank you for those kind words.
Absolutely.
No, it's not. No, it's not kind, dude, man. It's just telling the truth. If it was kind, I'll be lying to you, innit? So
thank you.
that's where kind is. Yeah, no, and I haven't slept yet. I've kind of done a whole 24-hour run.
Nice.
And
the D-Gen way. Let's go.
To be honest, it's your fault. It's your fault. I think when you guys liked it, I was like, wait a minute. I saw the profile picture. I was like, wait a minute. Like, I might. Let's start looking. And
down
then
the rabbit hole we go. Yeah.
Different. Yeah, I felt like I was a part of the Matrix, to be honest, and it was just absolutely great.
Perfect.
And then even when I think when I was inquiring about the actual access pass, and someone was like super secret, I was like, you fucker, man, why are you gonna make me take money out? Why are you gonna make me take money out to buy this thing to find out what's going on? So, but I'm glad I'm here. And it's an honor to meet you guys and speak to you guys, man, and everyone in this room, because everyone in the space so far has been absolutely legendary and gentleman-like. It's unreal.
This is it's a kick-ass community, honestly, and I'm now in my first week of being full-time with AlphaMint, and I couldn't be happier to have left my previous life and previous career to do so, and I think that honestly that should speak volumes to the type of people that are around here, that I want to spend more time with them, not less, right?
No, definitely. Well, I haven't gone to sleep yet because of you guys, so you must be doing something, right?
Praise.
Here's another question. In terms of AlphaMint, where do you see your vision with it? Because the one thing that I did notice was, like, obviously you said lifetime membership and the infinite sign.
Yeah.
So yeah, just curious on where do you see the AlphaMint going?
So there's definitely a couple of directions that we want to take it. We do want to be a very reliable and easy access hub for people that are looking to enter the NFT space. There are a lot of advanced alpha groups that cost a lot more and can be on a yearly basis type subscription. And if you go into them, they're great, but they are like focused on like maximum plus EV, like sneaking out every ounce of ETH dollar value, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, we look for those big wins in the DGen Dojo and the the Moon Lounge. And we've had a lot of them, but this is definitely a community that's focused on learning together, finding information together, and really just kind of, working as a unit to do so, right? And having that pass, it shouldn't feel like a subscription that's always looming. It does help you have a little bit of skin in the game, and if everybody is working together and they have that pass, then the value of the community becomes greater, and once they sell out, then maybe the floor of them becomes greater too, if you're looking at it like an investment. But I would be hard pressed to find anybody that's bought one of these that has said it's a bad investment so far. So
to be fair, I mean, even listening to the different ways or the different approaches that people purchase NFTs or flip NFTs or yeah. Every time I have this conversation with someone, I always feel a bit weird because where most people, I kind of sell if I don't like the community. Does that sound weird?
Yeah, sure.
So I could
Of
be,
course. Community's
I could
everything.
be in profit. Yeah, exactly. So I could be in profit, I could be in loss. But if I just, if my taste doesn't feel right, I just, yeah, just get rid. Um, but if the community is strong and you feel welcomed, because in my head, I know it's a bit weird, but well, it might sound a bit weird, but the value is not necessarily the token that you are using to value the product. It's the actual community, which can potentially be priceless, depending on the way that the community makes you feel, and also the way that the support and education and friendship, more friendship than anything else.
Sure, yeah, and you know what, I know what you mean when you say that. Kind of like, it sounds a little corny, and I'm gonna be a little bit cornball too. But like, honestly, like knowing what I know now, I would easily pay point one ETH just to hang out and shoot the shit with all of the other people that are doing the same thing. It's been great. So again, I appreciate the kind words. Really quickly, I know in business is going to come up and talk for a little bit too, and we'll finish off on that. But like, just quickly tell me about yourself. Like, when did you get into NFTs? Like, what was your entry point? How long you been in it? Where are you from?
Okay, I'm from the UK, but I seem like I live on American time. First NFT I purchased into was about 2.5 to 3 months ago.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was Crypto Dads, which I thought was the ideal gateway in for me at the time because I didn't know nothing about anything. So they made the transition pretty easy, made it easier for me to kind of start, dipping my toes into other places. But then I felt like I had a bit of a voice in the places I was speaking to in. So it kind of progressed really quickly. Like I ended up getting a mutant cat, and
Nice.
then I sold one of my dads to get a mutant cat.
Probably a pretty good trade then, actually, because both you probably took profit on the dad, and then probably made a decent little amount on the mutant cat too.
Yeah, yeah. So it weren't too bad. I mean, I sold my dad I bought my dad at 0.2, sold my dad at 1.1, bought the mutant cat at 0.55,
Yep.
and then I've staked it and kept it ever since. Um, Kind of grew into that community and ended up being an alpha mutant there recently.
Okay.
So that was cool. Then I kind of bought a head DAO.
Nice.
Then I was them guys are cool, man. Like all of them guys are so
I
cool.
own a bunch of head DAOs myself, and I actually did mint mutant cats too. I did sell them a little too early, but I made my profit, so I have a hard time being upset about that. But yeah, I'd have the head DAO too. Love that project. Sorry, I don't know if you cut out again. If you're talking, I can't hear you again.
Who, me?
No, I just have you on mute all the time.
Who, me?
Sorry, I kind of bogarted the mic there for a little bit. Anything you had to add in any of that conversation?
I love the JPEGs.
I love that. We're here for the JPEGs. Yeah,
it's crazy to hear that Dad's was 2 months ago.
I know. I was thinking that too. Like I was like, oh, good, you get real fresh. But Cass, you know what? I appreciate you coming up. I hope you get a good night's rest, and we love that you joined up with us. So we look forward to more conversations. So I'm gonna invite In Business up on the stage, and we will finish it off from there. While he's coming up, I just want to say thank you to all of the new faces. This is it's been really good. We've always kind of joked that the amount of people we have in the audience is the leading indicator of the NFT space. So if that is true, things are looking up, baby.
Woo!
What's going on, my man?
Yo, you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Always good to check. Man, I got to figure out. I thought I was bad. I stayed up till 4 in the morning watching that run on the Baby Apes and missed the morning show. But I just woke up and came on. Got a new strategy that actually worked out late for me. I figured I would share to give some value to the new guys
on the Baby Apes.
Yeah. So I noticed, yeah, I do a lot of weth offers.
Yep.
And one of the things I notice is when a project runs like that, especially at night out of the gate that nobody was expecting to, there's usually like a few hour delay until like the bots start pumping out the weth offers. So I just immediately started putting weth offers out at like 0.135 and 0.2. Like probably I would say at like 3 in the morning. I have a tool that I do that with. And I actually picked up within an hour. I went to bed, but within an hour I had picked up like 2 of those Apes at probably like a third of where the floor was at that time.
Nice.
And I noticed that I guess that it kind of is one of those things that you pick up that first round of people that just like minted and then like went to bed or didn't really think about it. We're watching the run, you know?
I guess my question would be like, what kind of time limit are you putting on these offers? Just because obviously that short-term volatility after a mint can go very sharply one way or another. Any fear that maybe the floor like really rapidly dips below all of your offers?
Yeah, I think so. Well, so there's a couple things. Anytime if you're going to do a bunch of weth offers, you should do it in a weth offer specific wallet that only has enough to like have like, you know, two offers accepted.
Yeah, great.
So
point.
that you don't get like run on the bank, because
yeah,
you could
always pull the weth out too, right?
You can pull the weth out if you have a ton of offers and you're watching the floor and the floor goes the wrong direction. I was like, but in this case, like my plan is I was making the weth offers and going to bed, so that wasn't going to be an option. Right. So I usually we were watching it and the sales pressure. I was like, if it dipped, I doubt it. I mean, I was putting in the floor at the time was 0.4 and I was putting in, 0.135s.
And a couple of them got picked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you you immediately flip after?
I was asleep. I woke up to like nice EV,
Okay.
So it's just one of those things I've noticed on early running projects. It's kind of like almost like fresh powder if you've ever gone skiing, within 12 hours, the guy, everybody gets their bot, like the guys that are running hundreds of thousands of bot offers get out and get their offers out. And then, that first layer of paper hands that just wasn't present, that saw an email that said, oh, cool, 0.1. I only paid 0.03 for this. I'll take that. Then those are gone, but if you could be the first person to get an offer to those people on something that ran really fast, it doesn't necessarily have to be, 90% of floor for them to think like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, fair enough. I will be interested to check back in with you and see if you continue to do that and how it's working out for you, because it's not, I don't deal a lot in weth, but I definitely understand the validity of it, but interesting to see you actually using it on these new mints, just because again, those floors run up and down so quickly that if you're finding success in it, it's definitely worth a conversation.
Yeah, that would
for
be
sure.
rare. That would be rare. It would have to be an extremely strong mint. Like that was an abnormally strong, price sales activity.
Yeah. Well, even now, the volume on it looks great, but the floor is dropping pretty quickly.
What is it? I think it's at 0.35 right now.
No, it's at 0.28 right now. And just so in the time that we've been doing the show and we talked about it, it's dropped from 0.4 to 0.26 after just refreshing. So, I
gotcha.
I don't know if everybody knows this or if you do this, but if you go on the sales activity tab on OpenSea, and I'm gonna pull up my browser right now to do this on the stream or the recording, I guess. But if you click the arrow on the left hand side and you get the event type tabs there, you can do sales. You could also do listings. So typically when I'm playing these, I pull the listings and the sales up at the same time and get a really rough idea of the ratio of sales to listings, right? And right now I'm seeing a lot of listings going on there, probably 6, 7, 8 to 1, maybe even more.
Right.
So that people are exiting that project really hard right now. Now a lot of these listings are just somebody threw one up for 0.2. I don't know. Don't even know if it's rare. Not even going to bother checking. So it's not all contributing to the floor, right? But
right.
Once that knife starts falling, people, you know,
Yeah,
it's a huge.
that's one of those things which is like nice. Like, you know, if you're gonna do a strategy like that, you definitely need to leave a lot of room. You know, in this type of situation, like I'm looking at the floor and I'm still, yeah, I'm still probably like point oh 0.07 under, like, or 0.13 under what the current floor is. And you know, you never know in that case, like if I end up breaking even because the floor tanked itself in 9 hours, that's not that big. You know, I can live with that outcome.
Sure.
You know, because that is the worst. That's like almost like a worst case scenario. I mean, yeah, I could go all the way and go negative, but with the buy pressure and some of the social media stuff, the ape adoption and everything, like I didn't see it as, you know, man, this is gonna go to zero.
I know typically you're more of a short-term trader, but like what do you think the prospects of this project are?
Man, I would like, this is one of those ones that I would like to hold these, just because it, like, I mean, like the thesis makes sense. I don't think I don't know about like, this is probably the best like tag along of like, you don't even care what this dev does, right? Like you're betting entirely that the apes like these, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Cool.
I mean, that's the thesis on that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade out of most of these, and then hold one or two is my guess, because I don't have an ape and I was like, this is kind of like, they're just cool looking. So that was my thesis, but
Right.
bummed I missed the show today.
Free market, you have a little bit of experience with weth offers too, right? You've scooped some stuff up with that. Maybe not on
Most I target collections that I watch really closely. Like I go into the Begon collection every day and just look at things I like. You know, you find things you're obsessed with, but it's more just you have to, as you were saying, when those floors start moving in one direction or the other, you better be watching so that your bot doesn't do anything stupid, or so that your weth offers aren't just hanging out there. So when getting to know a collection really well is the only time that I really bang out weth offers. Now, I have a favorites folder where anytime I see something I like, I'll favorite it. And, you know, if I'm feeling flush or liquid, I like to go make weth offers on things I like. But I don't really have a weth money-making strategy that I employ all the time. I tend to do it in things that I love. But as a holdler, that is where your EV starts to come from, is when you go through periods like the last 6 weeks. I mean, think about being able to buy mutants under 3 or under 4, wherever they were, or all these things, and just banging out weth offers for even less than the floor was, and them going through on every collection. Every collection was accepting weth offers
And
last 4 weeks.
For people that don't have experience with weth, it is like wrapped Ethereum. And the really cool thing about it is that if you have, let's just say you convert one ETH into one weth, is it weth? I hate that we do that. Weth doesn't sound right, but
Nope. It's weth and ETH.
Weth and ETH.
It's canon. Yeah.
But if you have one weth and you want to place a bunch of one weth offers on things, you can do it on as many as you want. And if one of them goes through and spends that weth, then all of the other ones become invalid. So it's not like you have to it's not like you have to have like 20 weth to put 21 weth offers on the table for all of this stuff. You could really aggressively spread these offers around, and all you need is just one of them to ding, and you could be looking at either a quick flip or a really low cost basis into a project you've been looking to get into.
Yeah, I put out 4,000 weth offers last night.
Yeah. And what was your success rate on them? Just like, do you know, off the top of your head?
I mean, well, it really depends on, you know, I say, so a general rule and that kind of stuff. And honestly, I'm trying to get better at always having thousands of weth offers out there, even at low percentages, like, you know, for stable projects that the floor doesn't move as much, at like 50%. Because if you have a bot, like if you, like I got a software that does it. If you have a tool that does it, it doesn't really cost you much time or effort. And with this kind of stuff, it's always time. It's always like time and circumstance that you just need your offers in front of a lot of people. They don't need to be the best offer. You know, in some cases, you're going to have other WETH offer like bots that are over top of your offers or whatever it is, but those go away. You know, so you can put a 3-day offer out there and have it be really, really conservative. But if you have enough of them, there's going to be somebody that just decided at 9 o'clock on a Thursday night that owned a BGAN that they need their money that minute, and the other offers that were, you know, 0.3 higher than yours happen to cycle out at that time, and you're the only offer available to them at that time, and they press the button.
Yeah, and I mean, again, for anyone that has no experience doing it, the general thesis is that eventually, it's like cold calling, right? Like eventually, you're going to hit somebody that needs that product, and
I would probably, I would probably say 100. A conservative number of offers is like if you're offering like 80% of floor or less, you probably need to make like, and there's other, like it depends on if there's other offers too, but you need to, it's like 1 in 50 minimum off on the offers. You know, could be like 1 in 100. If you're doing like much lower ones, you know, then it's up to like more like 1 in 500, or, you know, one at that. But it really depends on how difficult it's been for people to move the project, and if somebody else has picked over, you know, that collection. I mean, you guys, if you just go to the activity tab, you can see the WETH offers that have been accepted by people, and sometimes you're just like, ooh. The other benefit is on lower collections, smaller collections, you're not paying the gas on WETH offer to buy it. So, you know, if you're trying to buy something that's 0.15, you know, if somebody accepts your WETH offer, you're paying 0.15. You're not paying, you know, 0.15 plus 0.04 in gas. So that's the big advantage on that too. You know, I need to get more offers on the BGANs. I was just taking your guys' advice and trying to go after the gifts, but I'll probably do some lower bids on a little bit larger swath of the collection.
Yeah, for projects that don't really have a lot of volume but still have like a stability, it's definitely plus EV to just spread some around and see what happens. Particularly for more rares, if you have a little bit more WETH to throw at it, like rares, the rarer they are, the more illiquid they become, and the more hesitant people are to kind of throw them in for floor value, right? Especially if they need them to move. So, I think a lot of people have some success doing that too.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a good, like, just a good strategy. That happened to me on Galactic Apes this last week and a half. I was offering on like the rares like Mechas, Jedis, and Mystics. If anybody doesn't know the Galactic Apes collection, those are the 3 rarest like monkey or types of ape. And, you know, like to your point, what you had said of it, you really have to know the collection. There are like head pieces and eyes and stuff that are more rare than some of those, but those types tend to be, because of the game or utility, those types tend to have higher floors. And so I had 3 rares fill from WETH offers, you know, bought at 0.1, it's 1.7, or sorry, bought at 1.1, and with floor was like 0.8 at the time, and sold them at 1.4 and 1.2 for 2 at 1.7. So
yeah, lots of great flip opportunities, especially for those higher priced illiquid ones if you have a little bit of WETH to throw around. So,
but if you're not
Apes
liquid,
are good,
you definitely
good example of
yeah,
that.
you definitely yeah. If you're not liquid though, it's definitely, you know, those getting those WETH offers accepted above floor, it can take, you know, days or a week for those to sell. So you have to have a little bit of ETH laying around.
Somebody undercut the zombie bastard floor, which was 1.75, and put one up for 1.12. So that is a good WETH target for anyone shopping rare BGONs. It is BGON number. 1 second.
Those are also good if you know that collection. Let me ask you, if you know that collection really well, how long do you think it would take that one to buy it, to sell at 1.1?
For this to sell at 1.1 right now, it could take a bit. All the BGON connoisseurs and whales have hundreds. Like, they're already stacked, and I don't mean hundreds waiting to dump. This is just what they love. So right now it takes a while. Back a month ago, I mean, they were just flying, or a month and a half ago.
Right.
The zombies are one of the rarer types, and since this person undercut the floor by 0.6, I would think firing off some WETH offers, even 20 or 30% lower, could go off there, and then you got like an instant double on the already. So
Well, that's a good point as to when you talk about strategies on flipping versus
Yeah.
holding, right? Like,
Yep.
in some collections, you get your floors are significantly above the price that anybody is willing to pay for those attributes, right? Like in this case, is 1.1 really like full market value at the moment for like if my definition of full market value of a rare is you can sell it within 1 week of listing it at that
this will
price.
go. Yes, I think this will go within a week.
Okay, so
When
that
did
would
they,
be
let me see when they listed it.
so it's not a scoop if you wanted to flip it, but
Right.
yes, if you can give the 30% below that offer, there's a very high probability you're gonna sell that at 1.1 within a week.
Right.
Those are good.
Yes.
Those are good rare flip targets. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, but
So,
I
like,
would
yes,
I would imagine relisting at 1.5 if you were able to grab that for like 0.9 WETH, relist for 1.5. The time frame is probably going to be about the same to sell it, because if somebody is looking to pick up one of those, they're probably just going to target something that's substantially above the floor still, right? Like if the floor for the rest of them is 1.7 and you still pick it up and relist for 1.5, like I don't think that the time horizon is going to be any different than listing for 1.1. This guy is probably somebody that is looking to move it like right now and making it very appealing for someone.
That's a great point on pricing.
You actually, sorry to cut you off, but like you probably could just pick that up for 1.1 right now and sell it within a week for 1.5.
Yeah.
You don't think
it's not? That's a little, because the next zombie up, which is 1.75, is being sold by Juicy. Juicy is a Begon sharp. He may own Begons than anybody out there. He does set prices, and he knows kind of where a floor should be. So I would say that I'm not sure how quick it would move at 1.5. Where this guy priced it, it's going to move, I think, pretty quickly.
Okay, fair.
Like I said, you would want to, you'd want to bang a WETH offer out. It's just Begon volume has been slow since the pullback, and it'll pick up eventually. But that's well priced.
I would agree that in some cases, some people need to feel like if people aren't actively, there's not a bunch of people in the market to buy those rares. Sometimes you need some floor separation in order for people to be like a whale being like, "Ooh, man, that's just too good of a deal to pass up." Then a lot of times if your plan is liquidation flipping, you're pricing it right when somebody feels like there's a little bit of meat left on the bone.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no meat left on the bone, then it really has got to be the collector connoisseur that grabs it. And that can take a while once, like you said, everybody's already, they need a good reason to get their 101st Began, and if you don't give it to them. But if you're doing that, that's the thing is you don't necessarily need as big of a spread if that's your play, that you're constantly doing that and coming in and out.
Do you see? I posted it in the AM general chat. Go look at it. Do you see the little arrow next to prices now that tells you if it's on one of those declining auction things?
No, I didn't see that. Let me see.
This is like brand.
There was a
rare
this
last night.
There was there was a rare. Is it you did in the chat?
Yeah, the AM chat, the show chat.
I'm looking at. Let's see what we got here. So this is, it's on a 2-day, 9-hour.
Yep.
So one thing really interesting about that I've noticed, if you see a piece like this that's on an auction, but it's on a very short auction, you will see that price decline very rapidly.
Oh yeah. That's why
some cases.
This is prime for a WETH offer. This person needs liquidity.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There was a Jedi ape. So I think it's like the rarest type of galactic ape that he went from 6 ETH to down to I think he finally listed it at 4 ETH with a auction down to 3 ETH in 1 hour, like a couple days ago.
Ugh.
Yeah, and the floor on those is 6, and he had actually agreed to sell it to me in the forum for 2.65. And with 1 minute left in the auction, somebody bought it for 3. I was like, oh.
Huh.
But yeah,
Brutal.
those auctions, that's a good point. I haven't even looked at that as a great sign of somebody like really wanting liquidity.
Yep.
So now that you mention it, I'm gonna make a weth offer on that.
Woohoo! Hope you get it. Nice.
We'll see.
All right,
guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming up, man. I always appreciate it, and good chat. We'll do it again soon, I'm sure.
Some big numbers today. You guys are killing it.
Yes, yeah, definitely. We've hit
Looking
all-time
good.
highs. So,
All-time highs.
So yeah, I think there's probably a great time to wrap this up. If anybody wants to jump down into like a voice chat later, I'll be around for most of the day. Always willing and love to keep the conversation going. Again, for anybody that maybe jumped in late or wants to catch up on previous episodes or anything like that, we do record all of these in video for YouTube and audio on Spotify and Apple Music. So even just going there, maybe even clicking subscribe helps us out if you want to support the cause. If not, it's all good. But yeah, I appreciate it. This was a great turnout today. I think we peaked at like 32, 33. That's easily all-time high, right?
All-time high, baby.
All-time high. Also, I was kind of just scrolling around through some of the news while we were chatting there, and I completely forgot to mention while we were having the Bored Ape conversation that Post Malone bought a couple of them too this weekend. So another gigantic name. So
yeah, Post Malone. I mean, it like we said, this set off the last rally with Visa buying the punks, and here we go, celebrities getting into apes.
Yeah, and big celebrities too. So a very exciting time in the NFT world, a very exciting time in the crypto world, and a very exciting time in AlphaMint too, with a lot of new members and a great turnout this morning, as I said earlier. So thank you so much. Do you want to close it off with anything? Any final thoughts?
Good luck at the tables, D-Gens.
Good luck at the tables, guys. Thank you so much. We'll wrap it up, and we will do this all over again tomorrow at 9.